thanks to Sharda ma'am. She has specifically chosen this date. Today is Dev Ekadashi, that is also an auspicious day to start all these things. So I was sent from Foxy to learn this course of PPH, which was done by WHO at FIGO, and mostly low resource country representatives were there. I was one of them from India. So what we learned there, that is what I'm sharing today. So global burden of PPH, as we all know, that PPH remains the leading cause of maternal mortality globally, and it accounts for nearly 25% of maternal deaths. 14 million women are affected yearly. So why a consolidated guidelines were required? It was there to unify 15 years of scattered recommendations, and these new guidelines, they introduced 51 consolidated recommendations which are across prevention, diagnosis and treatment, and it emphasizes the evidence-based and well-adapted protocols. The key global partners are WHO, FIGO, UNFPA, UNICEF, USAID, JPIGO, and also International Co-Federation of Midwives. So our goal is to reduce preventable deaths through standardized care. Early detection and rapid action can save life. So causes, as we all know, most important is our tone, which accounts for 70% of cases. This is where mostly we are lacking. So cause of atony, I think we all know, large babies, previous history of PPH, long labor, shoulder dystocia, anemia, multiple pregnancy, then uterine fibroids, and then this tissue causes, they can be retained placental tissue, amnion, blood clots, placenta previa, invasive placenta. Then trauma, large babies, female genital mutilation, then episiotomies, augmented or obstructed labor, cesarean birth, vacuum or forceps delivery. Then thrombin causes severe preeclampsia or eclampsia, DIC, placental abruption, invasive placenta, history of coagulopathy and sepsis. So to provide respectful care, the women make their informed choices even when unexpected things happen with them. Women should feel safe and cared for. She should have privacy even during an emergency. She is enabled to have a companion of her choice during birthing. Then respectful communication between you and patient should be there, like introduce yourself, inform the woman about all the concerns and the options, listen to her concerns carefully, explain early if transfer is needed for advanced care, and always be honest when you are communicating with your patient. They say that to prevent infection, we should wear 2 pairs of gloves while conducting the delivery. Once the baby is delivered, then we should remove the upper gloves and then go ahead. Our hand sterilization is very important, and they stressed upon it very much, because sepsis is also an important cause of maternal death. Then postpartum monitoring. Now they have made exact accountable this postpartum monitoring. You should assess and record repeatedly before birth. Fill in any risk factor of PPH if there, you should fill it in the form. And from the birth onwards, check regularly for the signs of PPH and record 4 times in first hour. Every 15 minutes you need to record her vitals and see the bleeding. And then this is your first assessment. Then when placenta is delivered, first don't you look at the placenta, just keep the placenta, look at the patient. Just first stabilize her or tell your assistant to take look at the placenta whether it is complete or not. Then repeat assessment after that is done every 30 minutes for next 2 hours. So this is your protocol, that you have to keep the patient under watch for 3 hours, every 15 minutes first hour, every 30 minutes for next 2 hours. And you have to properly fill this 3-hour record in your form, which they have provided. I will be sharing this to all of you. So then what you see in postpartum monitoring. Quick bedside tool is to identify that patient is going into shock or not. You need to see the shock index. Shock index is very simple, pulse divided by systolic blood pressure. If it is more than 1, your patient is sick. This is the postpartum monitoring form which has been provided by WHO. This is the same. So to prevent PPH, we should give a uterotonic after the birth of the last baby. Place the blood measurement tool and monitor closely. Deliver placenta and with the control cord traction, check the uterine tone and massage if it is soft. Once the woman is stable, then you take a look at placenta for its completeness, check for repair and for tears, assess and record the tone, bleeding and vital signs. Keep the blood loss monitoring tool in place for the first hour for all women, and if a patient is bleeding more, then keep that sheet for 1 hour more. So uterotonics, misoprostol 400 to 600 per oral or sublingual or per rectal, whatever you want to give. No refrigeration required, only you have to protect it from humidity, and it is for prevention and also used for treatment. Do not use this for prevention of PPH, that is Trenexa, not for prevention. Then they say ergometrin is also not to be used for prevention. So uterotonics for prophylaxis are carbitocin heat stable, then oxytocin 10 units, misoprostol 400 to 600. Give a uterotonic within 1 minute of the birth of the last baby. So this is your prophylaxis. Then remember, always check uterine tone and bleeding first after delivering the placenta. Then closely examine the placenta for completeness. We need to first stabilize the woman. Then non-pharmacological measures, that is control cord traction for delivering the placenta, delayed cord clamping, then uterine massage you have to keep on giving. Then early identification and monitoring, you need to use this kind of sheets for measurement of the blood loss. This is put once the placenta is out. This sheet only costs you 140 rupees. I can provide you the address. It is in Karnataka. They can send you by courier. You can just deposit the money. So you need to see what is the shock index and use these calibrated drapes in all your deliveries. So now we define that blood loss of 300 or more than 300 with signs of atonic uterus, heavy blood loss, large clots or constant trickling of blood, and changing of vital signs like pulse if more than 100 and your BP systolic less than 100, diastolic less than 60, shock index more than 1, then your woman is having PPH. Earlier we used to say 500, now we say 300 with warning signs, and more than 500 obviously is. Then Trenexa, this is given as therapeutic later on, not as prevention. This is given 1 gram IV within 3 hours of the delivery. So, and continue your uterotonics with the Trenexa. You don't need to stop them. Then once you have diagnosed, then you start the motive bundle of action. M is massage, O is oxytocin, repeat oxytocin dose, Trenexa, then intravenous fluids, vaginal and genital tract, examination to look for tears and other things, and then escalation if the bleeding persists. Then advanced management options are UBT, compression sutures if you are doing cesarean, stepwise devascularization and hysterectomy if needed, and everything is going refractory. Blood products guided by clinical and lab indicators. So system and facility readiness is very important. Emergency PPH cards and your trained team should be there. Regular drills and audits are very important. Functional referral pathways are very important. Blood and uterotonic supply should be ensured in every place where a woman is birthing. So implementation in low resource setting is that we should prioritize the misoprostol in every delivery room. Even ANM should have in their bags that misoprostol should be available with everyone who is taking delivery, even at villages or some centers where IV facilities are not there. Then community-based AMTSL and early referral systems are very important. Integration and quality improvement. We should integrate PPH bundle into routine obstetric care. Use WHO safe birth checklist. Continue monitoring feedback loops and data-driven audits. So key additions in 2025 update is consolidation of 51 recommendations, emphasis on Trenexa, using it within 3 hours uterotonic combinations and measuring the outcomes, and inclusion of AI supported and early warning and simulation based training to your staff and doing the regular drills. Every facility should be ready, equipped and fully trained. Every birth should receive uterotonic. Every woman should survive without preventable morbidity, and we should end PPH deaths by 2030. This is our global roadmap. So always refer your patient in NASG, and even if you are in a busy hospital like in Harding also, there may not be any operation theatre ready for taking the patient in emergency, so that in that way also you can keep your patient in the same facility in this garment so that her BP is stabilized. And by the time the blood comes, your seniors come, your OT is available, at least your patient is saved. So to summarize, any woman who is birthing can have PPH. I think this message should percolate in in public also, and in I think all the people who are doing OPDs, they should have this kind of something written in their OPDs that any woman who is birthing can have PPH. And more than 300 ml of blood deteriorating signs with 300 ml and more than 500 ml. Remember, PPH is preventable. Use consistent protocols so that your staff is never confused. इसके बाद ये करना है, इसके बाद ये करना है, इसके बाद ये करना है. Then apply AMTSL, 10 unit oxytocin, heat stable carbetocin or misoprostol, motive bundle of PPH, then UBT, suction cannula or lab profile and blood transfusions, IV line with wide bore cannula, at least 2 IV lines, and follow proper referral protocols using NASG. So, thank you. Every safe birth, a fulfilled dream, a silent prayer answered. Thank you.